Hello there, before we get into the episode, this is Archie. I have an exciting announcement. Rebound is looking to hire its next exercise physiologist. It's very exciting. You can find the job ad on the website under Join Our Team, or About Us, Join Our Team. Send us an application and we'll have a coffee. Open to new grads and experienced CPs all alike. All right, into the episode. Well, welcome to the RCB podcast. We're the podcast for health professionals and the wider community. We're going to explore diverse ideas in health, ask some hard questions, and have some honest conversations. My name is Archie. I'm an EP based in Cities All the Beaches, and joining me as always is allied health business owner Andrew. Andrew, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well.
That's the way.
We're doing our best to come back to this fortnightly schedule, even though I'm pretty sure we're a bit late on the fortnightly schedule, but it's better than 2 months.
It is better than 2 months.
So consider yourselves lucky to see us on your feed. Yeah. You know, it's getting close to Christmas. It's hard. Life's hard. Before we talk more about that,
Go straight in.
you got a beer.
I got a beer. I got the Norman Australian Pale Ale from Yuli's. Yuli's? Yuli's Brews.
Yuli? Like Y-U-L-L-A-I?
Yeah, I think it's an I.
God, I can't read that font. Yeah, okay, well.
First impressions?
Yeah. It doesn't taste too bad. Tastes all right. Yeah. Where did you get it from?
The place down in Brookie. The
First
big
choice?
one. First choice?
First
yes,
choice,
the
yeah.
big yellow
Yeah.
thing. Yep, there.
Our place has been there forever. And I reckon I've been, and I've lived 5 minutes from it my whole life, and I reckon I've been there once. For some reason.
It's quite large. And they have many beers. And this one was the one that was like, seems about right. So here we are.
Many good, crafty beers, different things like this.
Lots of like the Northern Beaches.
Oh, like all the
ones.
Brookie breweries, yeah.
Yeah. So 4 Pints had its own
Oh, okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just had a couple of sips of that. It's not a weighty pale ale.
Oh, as in it's going down pretty easy.
It's not complicated.
No, which is fine.
very
I'm
easy
very
pale
happy.
ale.
We like that.
We like that.
An easy pale ale. I'm pretty sure that's another type of... oh, no, that's an easy hazy is another thing. Yeah. Well, maybe you just coined a new term for a beer. Easy pale ale.
There we go.
Very nice. Well, we do have a topic, and it was what I mentioned just before, which was kind of the feeling that I don't think it just hits healthcare practitioners. It probably hits old people in a lot of industries. That kind of feeling getting close to the end of the year where you start to feel that the grind gets slower or you get a bit tired. It's almost that Christmas end of year burnout that we want to talk about today. And it is November, which means we're getting ahead of it. So ideally, you might be listening to this and going, yeah, I know what you mean. Andrew, do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. I am right in the depths of that.
Are you?
Right now, which is excellent. Great topic for a podcast. But I think you're right. I think it is not just an allied health thing. I think it is an everybody working thing. And yeah, maybe it is just worth talking about for a little while.
What's your experience with end of year Christmas burnout? Or how it feels to you?
I'm not going to use the word burnout. I'm end of year tiredness. For me, it feels like there is too many things to do and not enough time to do it.
Do you not use the word burnout because you don't use that word in general?
I think burnout is a very specific thing.
Okay.
And so burnout is, I reserve burnout for that thing.
You don't
Not for it's not a spectrum.
Sure.
It's a
Okay.
thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. So in terms of when we talk about this, then we should use what? End of year Christmas fatigue.
Sure.
Cool.
Yep. I mean, if you are burnt out, that is a thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not discrediting the whole burnout thing. I just think for you asked me the question of how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling like there's a lot to do, but that's not burnout. That is just this phase.
Yeah, sure. Do you feel like this is a typical feeling for you around this time of year?
Yes and no. I feel so there's probably a few layers to that question. As a business owner, Christmas is a stressful time.
Why? I know, but why?
Because lots of team and lots of clients decide to go on holidays for that period of time. So it is we started preparing for Christmas in February. It took that long to sort of get to a point where it's like, okay, we will have a comfortable amount in the bank to be able to pay everybody through Christmas and through January. And then we've got our new people starting with us towards the end of January, early February. That's not going to be a financially stressful period. So, but it took many years to work that one out. And so I feel like a lot of business owners, like I would have a few years ago, look at Christmas and go, well, how the sweet fuck am I going to pay the team, myself, the rent? And that is not a great mental space to be in.
No. And then you're supposed to be happy and enjoying family life and buying Christmas presents and going out probably more and spending more money outside of what the business is spending at the same time, right?
And so you kind of feel this like, it's this very odd feeling where you feel like you should be doing that thing, but also you feel like you should be working because how else are you going to be able to pay for those things? And so it's a tumultuous thing to try and navigate.
Which often leads to more fatigue, right? When you do have two kind of competing interests, or you got this expectation of how you think you should feel, and then how you're actually feeling. And that kind of situation going on in your own brain can make things very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
So over the years, do you find that, generally speaking, this period for the end of the year has become more predictable for you then?
There are now, perhaps with the benefit of hindsight, it's like, okay, we know this is going to happen. We know that there's a whole bunch of things that we want to do with our clients and with the team in the lead up. We know what the financial piece kind of looks like. We know what we need to do in January. And we know we've got these new people starting, new grads starting in February. It's like, okay, well, we've done it for the last 3 or 4 years. So there is a comfort in knowing what is going to come.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't necessarily make it easier, but you know what's going to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay.
It's an expected amount of stress and discomfort.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So then year to year, do you find that there are different tasks or tasks that come up at the end of the year that don't happen or you don't have to worry about during the year? Other than like I guess the big ones being team goes on leave, clients go on leave essentially as well. Other than those big two, are there other things that you think contribute to this like end of year fatigue?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, if I haven't had holidays throughout the year and I get to November and I think back about like when was the last time I had time off and it was in March, it's like, okay, well, that's probably a bit of a leading indicator to how I'm feeling now. I think if I moved away from what I would consider to be healthy rhythms, like exercising, sleeping well, eating well, that if I've deviated from some of that stuff, then that could also be a bit of a leading indicator to how I'm feeling right now.
The holiday one's an interesting one, or leave is an interesting one, because I've definitely felt that as well, that I've, not this year, but previously felt totally fine in November, going to December, and then I've had a conversation with someone about, when's the last time I took leave? And I was like, March. And I was like, geez, March.
Yeah.
So
That was a long time
I've
ago.
had 9 months without stopping. And then it's almost like the realization that I have had 9 months without stopping almost had an effect on my body. It's almost like, when you're driving and you see the petrol light come on, that you're low on petrol, and then you start driving a little bit differently. It's like, I'll roll to the traffic lights a bit slower, and I won't take off. I won't get the revs up too high. I won't try and accelerate too hard up this hill. I'll just kind of sit, and chug up there, and then I'll put the, I'll use
Turn
the
the
gears.
air conditioner
Turn the air conditioner off. It's like, I'm not going to waste any more fuel because I know that I haven't filled up in a long time. Whereas if I know that I've filled up recently, I don't even think about how I'm using the car as much. Like, blast the aircon, I'm hot, that kind of thing. As soon as the petrol light's on, it's like, I better be careful here. It's like you get to the end of the year and you go, haven't had leave in a long time. Petrol light. I was like, shit, petrol light's on. I should probably be acting like I'm tired. I don't know. I wonder if
That's
there's almost like a little self-fulfilling prophecy in that as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know. I've no prior thought to that, but I wonder if this time of year people just start to feel that as well. Like this is an underlying feeling.
Well, perhaps it's an underlying feeling. I certainly know that there's a lot of conversations that tend to happen about, like, how are you going this year? Busy. I've been busy all year, and now I'm looking forward to taking time off because I've been so busy for so long. It's like when you hear that from every conversation that you have, it's like, that's me. I'm been busy for a long time, and I need a break because that's what everybody says. I think you're probably right. I think there's a degree to which that narrative going on in your head ends up living itself out.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you then have the things where people are talking about, how was your weekend? Yeah, busy. And every weekend from now until Christmas is busy. It's a classic one. It's like, I'm booked out from now until Christmas every weekend. And then people are just like, wow, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. Poor you.
Yeah. But also, it's, then you have the stuff where people do actually struggle a lot seeing parts of their family or friends. So they go, oh no, I have to spend time with Uncle Blah and Cousin Blah, and they're a drain. Yeah.
That's
a real thing.
that is a real thing.
And so then you're looking into the future and you're seeing these things booked in, and you go, oh my goodness, here we are. That time of year again, hey? So I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of things that probably fall into why people might be, feeling some fatigue towards the end of the year. On top of the any financial stresses of it's an expensive time of year for businesses, but then also just for people in general, with presents and going out and lots of social occasions, that kind of stuff. And then maybe if you are a contractor or someone who have performance outcomes or like incentives, financial incentives for being busy at work, then you might be seeing less people. And so then maybe there's less income as well as an employee as well. So kind of happens all around. A lot of reasons, a lot of things that can lead to fatigue. So I guess what do you do about it then?
What do you do about it?
What have you done in the past? That's worked.
I can tell you what hasn't worked.
Okay, start there. What hasn't worked?
What hasn't worked? Not taking time off doesn't work. So the taking time off is an interesting thing, right? Because if you you take time off with the expectation that you will come back feeling rested, and then you spend all of that time boozing and eating and being merry, and then you come back and you're still tired. So it's still a weight on you, right? So the act of just because you take time off doesn't mean that you're going to recover. Right? And so I think that's part of it for me anyway. It's like, yeah, I'll take a week off, but then I'll do everything. Like I'll do something on every day and I'll be tired, and then I'll come back to work and I'm fucking tired still. But it was like, well, that was supposed to be my recovery period. Well, now what? And then to your point, it's like, well, my next holiday is not for another 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, how the fuck am I going to make it to June and not keel over? So if you're going to take time off, like take time off, like actually turn the shit off.
If that's the intention of your time off, if your intention of time off is to rejuvenate and recover and be refreshed, then you've got to have some quality.
Well, you have to put some boundaries in place.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to turn your fucking email off and turn your things off and actually be present in the moments that you choose to be in.
That's the important thing for leave in general. That's not just Christmas as well. Like if you are taking leave and everyone knows you are on leave, don't feel the expectation to then still check everything. It's like trust the people around you to do it. You know? There are some situations where that's not possible. If you are literally the only person who can, do a certain task and it's crucial and the building's burning down. Well, if the building's burning down, I'm going to call Andrew if he's...
No, don't. Call the fire brigade.
Well, after the building's burnt down,
Great.
I'll probably let you know.
Thanks. That will
Fire
ease,
brigade first, then you.
That will ease my sense of stress. Yeah. The building's burnt down.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the fire brigade's here.
Yeah, exactly.
No problems.
Not like, Andrew, what do I do? The building's on fire. It's like, get off the phone to me. I can't help.
I can't help you.
Yeah. No, empower the team to do the right thing.
Yeah, do that.
And then don't check your emails.
Don't check your emails. Don't check your Slack.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't listen to your... Don't reply to your clients. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
They're not going to die.
No.
Hopefully not.
You're in allied health. Like,
They're fine.
you're not their emergency medical doctor. They know you're on leave. Don't check stuff. Yeah. Because, and you said it before, it's like, but because if you do, and you do stay just switched on, then you don't rejuvenate.
No.
And if you are a person who needs that full switch off from work time to rejuvenate, then keeping your email notifications on and Slack notifications and messages from clients and that kind of thing, it's not going to happen. So if you take leave, take quality leave.
Take quality leave. And one thing that I'm doing differently this year, so we're in the past when we've gone to my wife's family back over in Perth, we've kept the schedule fairly open, right? And it's just like, we'll just sort of see what happens and blah, blah, blah. And this year I've purposefully planned some things to do. My daughter and I are doing surf lessons.
Cool.
I've got some golf planned.
Great.
And it's like, there's not just me sitting around, because I know myself, and as much as I want to be that person that we just said, I know that if I've got a spare hour, I'll just check the email, I'll just check the Slack, I'll just see what's going on. It's like, fuck, no, nothing that I can do is going to change any of that shit now. Whereas for me, if I've got stuff planned that I find is going to be like rejuvenating for me, then it will distract me from the other shit. And that's something that I've had to learn from doing a few times.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I found that really useful. Like, yes, I've got time off, but I've got things planned in my diary that's going to keep me from all of the stuff that exists, whether I want to focus on it or not.
Yeah. And potentially that's a personality thing, right? That there are people who, when they go, no, I want to do nothing on this bit of leave, then that's what's helpful for them, to like have nothing planned. and they will do nothing. But then you definitely have like a good percentage of people who, when they want to relax and like recover, need to have things planned or at least a timetable in place to know what to do. Because we work off diaries, and predictability is nice. If you go away for 5 nights and things might pop up randomly and do stuff, then that uncertainty of like, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm over here, and now I'm over there, and oh no, now I've had no time scheduled to relax and do nothing because nothing was planned in the first place. That could be quite anxiety inducing for some people and not relaxing at all. So working out, are you a person who likes to have things planned in your rest time or your off hours, or are you a person who likes to have nothing planned? But also, nothing planned, or like having things planned can be like recovery, or forced rest.
Forced rest.
Like, no, that's blocked out. This afternoon on that Wednesday, nothing can be booked in there. It's like, great, cool, that's booked.
Yeah.
You've booked nothing. Great, very important. Now nothing's going to be filled there.
Correct.
Helpful.
Correct. Very helpful.
So take quality leave.
Quality leave. Future pace it. Like, if I was to be able to come back to work on the 6th of January feeling rested, what are the things that I would be doing in the time that I have off? Because, and I suppose this sort of goes to perhaps a parallel point, is to like use some of this time to plan your holidays for next year.
Yeah.
Because often you can turn around and it's fucking November again.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, when was the last time I had holidays?
Yeah.
Oh shit, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this was one of my mentors, Jack, said this, like, you always have 2 holidays planned. So when you come back from your holiday, you've got another holiday in the book. And that doesn't mean like going, or can mean going away, but it could also just be having a long weekend.
Yeah. Or knowing when the next long weekend is, at least. Yeah.
And that is definitely from a mindset perspective. Like, yes, I'm in the shit right now in the middle of November, but I know that I've got this time off over Christmas, and that'll be what it is. But then I've got a long weekend at Australia Day, and I'm going to take 4 days off, and I'm going to switch off then.
Yeah.
And so, like, you've got this rhythm of not sort of feeling like you're just going from one break to the next, that you already planned a few in advance.
Absolutely.
And that, again, like just from a personal perspective, that has been one of those 1%ers that makes a big difference.
Think of it in terms of a client treatment journey, that planning out their check-ins or their milestones on a timely basis makes a big difference to how confident they feel and confident in the treatment that you are providing to them. You like that?
That was excellent.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Andrew just
Excellent.
froths anytime client experience comes up, or client journey.
I do froth.
He just goes, client experience.
So much frothing.
Weird like that.
Thank you.
No, I enjoy that as well.
What do you do? How do you help sort of prepare?
How do I help prepare? For me, it's knowing what everyone else is doing makes me feel settled and ready to go. So this is something that I've not been particularly good the last couple of years, but this year I'm trying to be more on top of it. I'm aware, and this is more like team-based and clients-based, but I'm aware of exactly when people are going to be off, like in the team, and exactly when they're coming back, and exactly how many of us are here, and planning ahead everything well in advance. Because otherwise I get frazzled and I get a little bit like paralyzed in terms of planning it. Because it feels like there is so much to plan that if I just kind of leave it, if I leave it too late, like into December, I just kind of put my hands in the air and go, all right, well, just whatever. Yeah, we'll work it out. I'll just work 12 hours every day, and we'll just keep all the same classes, and we'll work it out. Because it's too late by then in my head. I've just gone, fuck it, don't care, play on. But planning earlier this year is better. Leave for me over Christmas is less important than knowing when the next leave is. So I'm not stopping over Christmas other than like the public holidays, but I know that at the end of January I'm going away.
Nice. Just
for a week. It's like, cool. So I've got that.
Yeah.
Got that ready to go there, which is nice.
Yeah.
The most stressful and like fatiguing thing for me is really listening and hearing everyone talk about it, because that's kind of a big part of
talking about them feeling
that.
Well.
Yeah. And when that's your clients and your team, like that kind of seeps into you as well a bit, that like it's like, oh no, I don't want people to be feeling like this. And that's really hard. I find that really hard, hearing everybody struggling, or not struggling necessarily, but like everybody talking about fatigue and tiredness.
So what's been your sort of mantra with that? Like how have you approached those conversations?
I generally try and identify what some of the main kind of triggers or causes have been for this particular person. So if it is a team member, have they been particularly busy lately and have been like under the pump and going really, really hard? For those people, I take more of an approach of like, hey, once December comes, generally new clients slow down a little bit. There'll be some clients on holidays, so you'll have some time in the diary free up and you'll be able to catch up on things and settle down. We're not going to push hard on 90-day plans, like big goals in December. We're just going to make sure that you're on top of everything and then ready to reset for the new year and go from there. So it's more like catching up, setting the expectation that like you will have time coming in December to catch up on things during the week. And then for us, it's more about kind of planning ahead for the next year rather than like trying to grind yourself all the way to the end. For that kind of person. For someone who maybe the trigger hasn't been that they've been fully under the pump, but they're more maybe on the end of, oh, I can't believe we're at the end of the year and I'm still working on this. Or I don't feel like I've achieved everything I wanted to over the last 6 months when I had these big goals, or I had these things I really wanted to do. That's a completely different story, right? Because then the same thing for that person of like, hey, you'll have more time and like everything will calm down and chill out and you'll be able to catch up on stuff. If they haven't been super busy, but the things that they wanted to happen just didn't seem to happen, you know, whether in their control or out of their control, that person doesn't necessarily like want to take their foot off the gas necessarily. For that person, I'm probably more talking about planning, a lot more planning for like, okay, over the next 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, you know, what's 1 or 2 things you can do that will make you feel like you've taken a step in the right direction here instead of taking 2 steps backwards, and then you're starting from scratch in the new year. So it's like 1 or 2 things you can do over the next 4 weeks, and then let's plan out our steps in January, February. So you've got those there. So then you feel like, yes, okay, I've got a positive plan to keep moving in the right direction rather than like, nothing's going to happen in December and January anyway, so what's the point of trying? It's kind of 2 different things there, right? Like, you can't just approach all of them. It's like, hey, don't worry, things calm down, we'll relax, it'll be easy. It's not everybody wants that. Or that's not helpful. I don't feel like that's helpful for everybody. So, I don't know, kind of changes depending on the person.
I think on that first example, like, we know just from track records and years and stuff like this that business goes in cycles,
Yeah.
right? There are busy periods and there are not so busy periods. November, end of October through November to early December is one of those busy periods. Every year, it's the same. And I think, to your point, like just recognizing that and just go, the fact that you're feeling these things right now, that might actually be warranted because you are busy and this is probably a fairly reasonable response to
totally.
having lots of new clients come in, having lots of like old clients come back that want to come in. But to your point, that will last for 6 to 8 weeks and then it will cool off a little bit. And you and I can sit here and sort of have the beauty of hindsight because we know that that's going to happen. We're busy now, but then in December, early January, it'll be cool off. But for the person that's going through that for the first time, it can be like, oh, gee, is it like this forever? Am I going to be stuck doing this forever? I'm getting behind now. Like, how am I ever going to be able to catch up? It's like, it's okay for you to feel those things, but also lean into the fact that other people have been through this before and it's cyclical. And that's okay.
Yeah. I had a quarterly meeting with all of our team, individually. And one of them was, felt like we'd been pushing really hard and seeing a lot of initials, like doing really, really good work. And was feeling they're like, wow, I feel like I've been really busy. It's like, you have been really busy. And they're like, but I don't want to stop being busy yet. And it's like, that's okay. Like, we'll play on, but let's kind of, this was the start of October. And it's like, let's kind of set like a finish line of this like pushing period for the end of November. And it's like, we'll push till then, and then we can, like, it will relax. Like, there will be less initials come like the second week of December. People will just put their health on hold for that period because it's not worth it for them. But like through October and through November, it's going to be busy. But let's just see that finish point in sight there in terms of like the amount of initials and stuff. So having set that, like, this next quarter of like doing all of this stuff here with the clients and the new clients, it's going to be kind of till second week of December, first week of December. And like having an endpoint in sight was nice for that. That kind of a nice feeling of like, okay, there's an end to it.
Yeah.
It's not infinite.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of this feeling that can be overwhelming for people is that you lose sight of the end point, that it feels like it can just go on forever. But again, like, we know that doesn't happen.
That's another important thing to talk about, is that like the end of the year is not a, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a meaningful point in time, really.
What do you mean?
Well, in terms of like client journeys or practitioner journeys or work cycles, like, there's the only real thing that's happening over that period is there's a cluster of 3 public holidays and people on holidays. Other than that, like, there's no significance in a employment or a work cycle that's relevant to Christmas, in my opinion. Like, it's not, people didn't start on the 1st of January. Like, how many people start a new job on the 1st of January? It's like, no, it doesn't happen. It's not in healthcare, no, because it's a horrible time to bring someone on. A lot of people start into February, into March, that kind of thing, especially once finished uni, registrations come through, accreditations come through 4 weeks later. So no one's finishing a 12-month employment cycle and having a review or an annual meeting with their boss on, Boxing Day or Christmas Eve, that kind of thing, and wrapping all that up. Very rarely is a client journey finishing just because it's Christmas time. And it's like, well, their back pain isn't gone because it's Christmas. People aren't suddenly no longer have a chronic illness because we got to Christmas. Well done. But I think we often think about that. It's like, well, we have to get this done before Christmas. Like, I have to finish this thing before we get to this date. Otherwise, I didn't even get it done in 2024. It's like, well, the year, life's going to continue come second week of January when everything continues. Like, it's less public holidays than it is in April. There's more public holidays in April than there are at Christmas. So technically, like, there could be more days off work there are. Oh, actually, I wonder how it is, like, in terms of people taking leave and that sort of thing. But, like,
when you get it, when there's like the Easter and then there's the
Anzac Day.
holiday and they do it on the Friday to that, motherfucker.
Yeah. April's a huge month of like short work weeks and that sort of thing. Yet no one talks about like, just got to get to...
The funny thing is the business owners do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, because of...
We shit ourselves.
Yeah, I know you. We talked about that before. Yeah.
We thought we got through Christmas and then fucking Easter comes
came
on.
around
It's
so
like,
quick.
motherfucker.
Yeah. And they put it into March this year. Bastards.
Stupid dickheads.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, dickheads.
Who put Easter in March?
We're not in June.
We're not ready
What are
yet.
you doing?
We're not ready yet. We need to fill the coffers.
So cruel.
Very cruel. So yes, business owners think about Easter that way. But I don't think a lot of people think of a work cycle finishing at Easter or April. People think of work cycles and treatment cycles and general full stop to things finishing at the end of the year. Which, I don't know, maybe this is just a random philosophical point. But like, maybe it like creates a random sense of pressure of having to do things faster or having to have all of this random shit done by this random period of time just because the last numbers in the date are changing. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I haven't thought about that too much. Beer's going down well. What do I think? Yeah, look, I can see it. And maybe from the flips, like from the January side, like clients come back from Christmas and New Year's and they have these, this is the year. I'm gonna fucking get rid of this chronic disease. I'm gonna do the thing. And they come back with these abstract goals for the year. I don't know if that is a conversation. It's a conversation you almost prepare for. Like particularly with some of the clients you've been working with for a long time.
I'm ready for weird New Year's resolutions.
I want to go and do this thing.
Like the start of this year was running, right? Like, and everybody wanted to run in 2024. Thank fuck that's over. Hey, I hope that's over. Amount of clients who like hadn't run in 20 years that had come in and I hadn't seen them in a couple of weeks. And I go, I tried running. My knees really hurt. I was like, how far did you run? Well, I didn't want to go too fast. So I just started with a 5 kilometer run. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, when was the last time you ran? It's like 2005. I used to do parkrun a lot. It's like, oh, okay, good. Great.
Good. Well done.
All right. Look forward to bringing this back to zero and then building back up from 30 seconds again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's a good conversation to start having now with clients. Like, rather than coming the first week of January with your stupid half-baked ideas of what you think health and like, let's talk about that now. Like, what do you want to, it's November. What do you want next year to kind of look like? What are some goals you want to be working towards next year? and then almost have a plan prior
Have a
to
plan.
them coming back.
Great idea. Have a plan. What an amazing idea.
Love that.
Yeah. And you can throw Christmas out, right? Like you can.
It's a day.
Yeah, and you can
It's a morning.
You can tell people.
Afternoon. Lunch.
So you have young kids, so it's probably different.
It's
for
a
you.
lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long lunch.
It's a long fucking day.
It's a big day. It's 2 families worth of socializing. Like people go, oh no, but there's no point signing before Christmas because then I'm going to throw it all away. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. Don't worry about Christmas. Like, but let's plan for next year now, so that we have a plan coming in. It's a good idea. You could do that with everything.
You can do that with yourself.
You could do that with yourself. There you go. Do you reckon that would help with your fatigue, having a plan for next year?
Well, one of the things that we sort of half-baked did, we did it for about 5 minutes.
What?
We talked about, like, what do you want your next year to look like? Like, what do you want your schedule? We did this at the start for about 30 seconds.
Of what?
Of our last meeting.
Our last meeting.
We have a end-of-year checklist.
Oh,
so we've got
yes,
an end-of-year checklist
wasn't there.
for our team. Oh, that's right, you weren't
I
there.
wasn't there.
We have an end-of-year checklist for our team in
Yes.
terms of, like, wrapping, helping clients with their continuity of care and that sort of stuff. But then we've also got one for ourselves, like looking at your week.
It's very helpful.
Looking at your week and go, okay, what worked for me this year, and is there any changes that I want to make for next year? Have I booked some leave for next year? Have I got if my calendar has gone a bit haywire because the shit just went a bit.
Yeah, do I need to do some time blocking?
Yeah, do I need to just realign some things so
Yeah.
that it works better for me?
Yeah.
Do that shit now.
Yeah.
That's a great thing to do now.
You had some things like, ensure treatment plans are up to date, and do you need to send any letters that you haven't sent yet? Professional development and reflections, like, have you done enough CPD for the year? Did you do that? Andrew? Have you done your CPD for the year? You still an EP?
I am still in it.
Yeah, okay. So you need to do your 20 points.
Yeah.
Have you done your 20
I
points?
read some articles.
No. Oh. Have you done your self-reflection tool then?
Can I self-reflect on this podcast?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
That last article was just delightful.
Oh.
It was so good. I learned so many things.
Have you done any courses this year?
Hey, this isn't about me. All right?
Well, I'm
This
just
is
saying,
about-
mate. It's on your end of year checklist that you created, so I'm just
Have I
checking.
done any courses this year? Fucking hope so.
Yeah. Otherwise, S is after you. They listen to this. Andrew
I've been audited by
Daubney,
S.
previous EP of the year, audit him.
Or-
Don't audit him. No.
Hey,
Don't audit him. Don't do that. No.
I'm sure there's some courses in there.
I'm sure there are. Speaking of courses, got an email because you know how like all of the all of the courses that you've ever signed up to or inquired about, they all start sending you emails at this time of year. Go like, buy this webinar, buy this course, get your points, blah, 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 blah. Do broomstick mobility, whatever. This one from Physio Network. I was like, oh, this is interesting. It says, core stability in 2024. Are you up to speed? I was like, oh, interesting. Where are they going to go with this? They open with a line that it caught my eye because it was interesting and I agreed. They're like, we've all been there, teaching patients isolated transverse abdominis activations with like a face palm kind of thing. It's like, yep, haha, very good. Got me. Yep, I've done that. But the world of low back pain treatment is constantly evolving and it's time to level up. Lucky for us, Blah Blah Physio has created an excellent motor control masterclass to bring you up to speed and current state of practice when it comes to core stability. It's like, wait, are we past this? Because didn't you just like make a joke about like us over caring about core activation, but now you're running a course on motor control for the core?
Fuck, man. Jesus Christ.
I don't understand.
I
I don't understand. I feel like they've called themselves out and then tried to sell you the thing they've just called themselves out on.
That's good
By the
marketing
way,
right there.
you need the points though, so do it anyway.
Yeah, just do it anyway. Just giving you 200
No,
bucks.
no, it's 10 points.
Don't even watch the video. Just, I'll give you a certificate. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Give us $500, we'll give you 10 points. Just transactional. That's it.
Oh, it is. I mean, that's another rant for another day. But like, yeah.
Andrew, if you were to talk to a young practitioner who is going through this period of the year for the first time and they are feeling that general fatigue kind of thing, top 3 things you would do, you would talk to them about. We talked about quality leave. We talked about that. We talked about talking to your mentor or superior about like planning, perhaps, for the new year. Is there anything else that you would add on that?
I think we touched on it before, but like, it's okay to feel these things, right? It's not a bad thing to feel the way that you're feeling now. I don't think it's helpful to be pointing fingers and saying, like, the way that I feel now is your responsibility. I think it's very common. It's not just in allied health. A lot of people feel this way. What would be my advice would be going to the things that do fill your cup. What if you know that sitting in front of Netflix for a day is going to make you feel better, fucking do that.
Do it.
Or if it's going for a run, or if it's going and socializing, like, do the things now, particularly at periods of time where there is more workload, there is more expectation. Just go back to doing the things that you enjoy and that fill your cup, and just know that it won't last. It come 6 weeks' time from now, it will look very different. So it's okay. It's okay to feel a bit stressed. It's okay to feel a bit overwhelmed, but it's not going to last.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah. I think just validating in that way. It's okay. This is very normal. A lot of people feel like this.
Particularly
yeah.
the your first year or two coming out of
Absolutely,
uni.
yeah.
Like, this is okay. It's not cause for concern.
Yeah.
If you are concerned, if you're waking up in the middle of the night with racing thoughts, if you're feeling like your heart's beating too quickly, if you're feeling like I'm never going to be go and seek some professional advice.
Absolutely.
Because there can, and coming back to the very original part of this conversation, like, there can be a period where that crosses from just the normal stress or anxiety into burnout or into overwhelm, and in which case you should definitely go and get some professional advice on how to manage that. But for the most of us, like, it's a thing that happens, and what you realize is that the more you go through it, the more you individually work out how, okay, I know this is going to come. What are some things that I'm going to prioritize or not prioritize through this period? And you pick up on your own cues.
Yeah. Nice. How about for allied health kind of business owners or people who have to manage people in allied health? Any different advice?
What you be telling your team, do you mean?
Maybe more relating to their experiences where the financial side of thing for the business is a difficult part. Any advice for them?
One of the we had Beck Clare, who's the owner of Physio West down in Adelaide. She came and presented to one of our team meetings. I forget the specific topic, but the analogy that she used was, or the crux of the point that she made was, like, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So if you haven't made preparations for Christmas, that's okay, but do it now. Because a lot of the stress and the overwhelm that can direct itself towards business owners comes from a lack of control and the hope that if you cross your fingers and close your eyes, everything will be okay. That's not a good strategy. So, yes, we can all sit here and say, "Oh, I wish I'd done this, back in March. That would have been much better." And while that's true, if you give it another month, it will be a fuck ton worse than if you just started now. So think about, to your point before, I think that's a very valid point about, okay, who is going to be on leave? When are they going to be away? What's going to be the impact on cash flow for that period of time? How much leave am I going to have to cover for that period? What are the public holidays that I'm going to have to cover for? And then start talking with your team now about where it's clinically relevant, making sure that clients are booked through into January, so that your team don't come back with empty calendars and they have to sit there and call their clients because, oh shit, I forgot to book them in.
Which then delays another week or two.
Yeah. So I would take action quickly or soon about if you have left it, that's fine because it is what it is. But coming back to my point, where the stress and the anxiety comes from is the unknown, right? When you haven't quantified what these things are going to be. Because when you don't do that, the picture that you have in your head is a million times worse than what it tends to actually be on the ground. So if you can articulate what that looks like, it makes it real, and then you've got something that you can do about it. And that's scary as fuck for a lot of people, but once you actually go through that process, 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Okay, now I know what I need to do.
Nice. All right. That was great. I don't just delete the rest of the podcast and just keep that 2 minutes. Fucking hell.
What about for team? What would be your sort of top 3 things if you're a young new grad, in your first or second year of EP, and you're feeling these things right now, aside from the things that we've spoken about, like, what's your advice to them?
Yeah. Know that it won't last. Know that fatigue's normal. Also know that Christmas can be a stressful time with family stuff. A lot of people find hanging out with that much family stressful. That kind of thing, or being in those social situations with people can be a bit stressful. So just knowing that beforehand and knowing that it's okay to remove yourself if you need to. Because everyone's got that auntie. Everyone's got them. And knowing that you don't have to be part of that conversation, you don't have to. Or maybe they love Donald Trump, or they love, anyone. Yeah, someone that you don't love, that's fine.
He's back.
Yeah.
How excited.
The Don. You don't have to have those conversations. You don't have to. You can remove yourself from them. That's okay. So knowing that you can just you don't have an expectation you have to do anything you don't want to over that period. And then that when you come back, if you do take a break in over Christmas, that when you come back, everything will still be the same here. Nothing's going anywhere. Everything is still exactly the same, except it'll be less stressful because we can start again. That's fine. So I think just making sure people understand that it's temporary and that we'll finish is kind of the nicest thing. And whatever else is in your control, we can control, but whatever's not in your control, well, we'll just remove ourselves from that situation. That's fine. The rest doesn't matter too much, I think. Anything that, back on business owner stuff, quickly, anything that you've done that's been really successful from a cash flow point of view, come New Year or come December, to help buoy the business?
Well, like I said, we now start cash flow planning for the business in March.
Other than pre-preparation, which is obviously a very good idea.
Yes. So there's a thing to put in your calendars for next year. Like if you haven't done it this year, start thinking about like once you get over the shit period of, you know, December can be a bit shit, January is big time shit, and then it's sort of, for us, it tends to be around that Australia Day time where it's like, okay, things are sort of back to normal.
February,
now.
March, up until Easter's good.
And then you, and then February's kind of catch up. And so it's like, okay, March, where we think we're sort of back to normal. It's like, okay, well, what do I think I need to be able to put aside for Christmas next year to safely cover the cash flow
Wages.
deficit that you see, wages and that sort of stuff, and then you just sort of go, okay, well that might be $100 a week. It's like, great, set up an automatic direct debit out of your account to account that you can't touch, and that's the Christmas fund. Set up rhythms, right? Know the rhythms, because as a business owner, you can sort of go, if I had left everything to the last minute, I'm trying to do our team's Christmas presents, I'm trying to do our team's Christmas party, I'm trying to manage our social media of what we're going to do during Christmas, I'm trying to manage newsletters and what's going to go out and when we're going to tell people that we're closing and are we going to do a price rise, and then I've got to do it for January because like I don't want to do that I don't want to do that in January, I want to do that now. And so like what am I going to be putting in that sort of stuff? Team days have been locked in, so like just if I can start to use this time to plan out next year so that I don't get to November and go, fuck, I've got 7 million things that I need to do in the next 4 weeks, means that you're still going to have to do those things. But they're not all coming at once. Like I said, if you can articulate the challenge, it makes it a lot like there's a sense of control over it. It's like, okay, I've got this amount of team, or if it's just myself, then I've got these overheads. This is how much I'm going to need, and I've got still 4 to 6 weeks to be able to do something about it. So take it out of your head and put it onto paper. That's the best advice
Write it all down.
that I can give. Write it down.
Write it down. Have a checklist. And then tick things off the checklist.
Love a checklist.
There you go. All right.
Use Asana.
We'll finish on. Asana's good. There's lots of different Asanas. Asana's just like a task management software. But you got Asana, you got called like Monday or Mondays or something. You got Trello.
All the things.
Google Tasks. Everything. Notion. Everything.
So perhaps the advice here is actually not dissimilar from that of a practitioner. It's that like
It's the same.
it's the shit will pass.
Yeah.
Come April next year, you won't even fucking remember this time. That's okay.
Yeah.
So just know that there is a way through it, even though it can feel overwhelming and feel like all the weight is sitting on you. April next year, you'll be sitting here going,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's it.
I barely remember it.
There you go. That's it. Lovely. Very good. And one last thing. Christmas is just like a capitalist institution that's like actually Santa's the colours of Coca-Cola. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
That was good. Yeah.
That was good.
Sure. Great. Christmas.
Did you know that Donald Trump invented Santa Claus?
Did he?
No.
Oh,
He's trying to make
I
you
feel
hate
like
Christmas.
that's good. We should stick with that. We should spread that.
Well,
It's a good colour.
It's on a podcast now. There you go. It's done.
Maybe if Donald Trump listened to this
Yes.
and he heard that, he'd be like, oh, I reckon they're right. I reckon I did do that.
I did. Maybe I did. And I was the best Santa Claus ever. All my friends tell me
All my friends
that I'm an amazing Santa Claus. And I've got lots of friends from the North Pole. They all work for me.
They all tell me that I'm the
all
best.
of my friends in the North Pole that work for me tell me that I'm the best Santa Claus. I always have been. Anyway, enough of that. We have 2 more podcasts already lined up this year.
Jesus.
I know. One with, both of them with other EPs. Guests.
Guests.
So look forward to that. They're on our end of year checklist. They're coming.
We don't know. We didn't know. We even know what we're going to talk about today.
no, don't tell people that. They don't need to know what we know.
Yeah.
That's it. The beers were good.
The beers were.
Thank you for the
They
beer.
were very easy.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, now we have all debriefed and reflected on our days and our time of year. You may continue on with your general lives. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.